Yoshiharu Sagara finds himself in an alternate timeline during the Sengoku period, where some well-known warlords are female. Hideyoshi Toyotomi dies as a result of his actions, but he saves the life of Nobunaga Oda's female version, Nobuna Oda. As a reward, Nobuna makes Yoshiharu her retainer, but his claims of coming from the future brands him as crazy. Meanwhile, the Lord of Mino, Dasen Sato, calls for a negotiation with Nobuna. Dasen's servant, Mitsuhide Jubei Eichai, attempts an ambush which is foiled by Yoshiharu's foreknowledge. During the meeting, Yoshiharu convinces Dasen to ally with the Oda clan by making Nobuna his heir. Nobuna, nonetheless, chases Yoshiharu with an unsheathed sword. Yoshiharu must purchase 8,000 koku of rice in a week with only 3,000 kan, or lose his head to Nobukatsu Oda, Nobuna's younger brother, who threatens to rebel if he does not receive the head. Using his foreknowledge of market prices, and with the help of Tashi, Inucho Mida, Gomen and Gomen's men, he manages to buy 30,000 koku instead. For the first time, Nobuna shows signs of having feelings for Yoshiharu. Nobukatsu rebels anyway, but Yoshiharu's guidance of troops subdues the rebellion peacefully by scaring Nobukatsu. Yoshiharu also prevents the execution of Nobukatsu, fearing that Nobuna would become a similarly ruthless ruler like Nobunaga. A grateful Nobukatsu changes his name to Nobisumi Tsuda and surrenders all claims on the Oda clan. Dasen's 3 lieutenants and his son Yoshitatsu launch a coup d'état. Nobuna cannot send military aid as the forces of Yoshimoto Imagawa are threatening Nobuna's borders. Nagamasa Asai proposes an alliance and reinforcement in exchange for a political marriage to Nobuna, which would undermine all Nobuna's dreams of unifying Japan. Ultimately, Nobuna's generals Yoshiharu, Katsui Shibata, Nagahide Niwa, and Inucho in unison turn the offer down. Later, Jubei arrives with Dasen's daughter, informing that Dasen is preparing for his last stand. Yoshiharu and Gomen undertake a very dangerous rescue mission that, after heavy casualties, would have failed had it not been for the arrival of Nobuna and her forces. As Nobuna berates Yoshiharu for his foolishness, everyone is soon informed that Yoshimoto and her army have invaded. Following the invasion of Yoshimoto's overwhelming forces, Yoshiharu attempts to locate her base camp and trigger the Battle of Okizama, with the aid of Gomen, Inucho, Nobisumi, and Nobisumi's many female bodyguards. At the base campsite, however, ninjas led by Hanzo Hattori attack Yoshiharu's entourage. Hanzo severely wounds Yoshiharu, but he convinces Hanzo that his master, Lady Motoyasu Matsudera, need not serve Yoshimoto. After receiving Yoshiharu's information, Nobuna's forces launch a surprise attack on the drunk forces of Yoshimoto. Yoshiharu prevents the death of Yoshimoto by groping Katsui, and then charms Yoshimoto into surrendering. Later, when Nobuna's troops cheer for their victory, Nobuna and Katsui beat Yoshiharu and exclude him from the cheer. Nobuna's attempts to reclaim Mino is repeatedly foiled by Yoshitatsu's strategist, Hand. Yoshiharu, Jubei, Gomen, and Inucho are sent to recruit her. They find themselves in competition with Nagamasa. Meanwhile, the reclusive Hand is forced to appear before Yoshitatsu, who wants to make her his own concubine. To force her hand, Yoshitatsu keeps her uncle hostage. Yoshiharu and Nagamasa accompany Hand to Yoshitatsu's castle to buy time while Gomen and Inucho rescue the uncle. After receiving notice from Gomen that her uncle is safe, Hand invokes magical creatures to defeat Yoshitatsu and his men. Having escaped, Hanbi, who is impressed by Yoshiharu's kindness and bravery, swears loyalty to him instead of Nobuna. Conquering Mino requires building a fort at Sanamata, but Nobuna's generals repeatedly attempt and fail because of the nearby enemy garrison. Finally, the task is given to Yoshiharu, who has the foreknowledge of how Hideyoshi did it. Nobuna and Katsui leads most of the Oda army to Kisagawa. Yoshitatsu's generals lure Nobuna's forces to a valley. Unbeknownst to them, however, Yoshitatsu has rigged the valley with explosives. Nobuna, however, manages to escape the death trap along with Yoshitatsu's forces who feel betrayed and have defected to her. Meanwhile, Yoshitatsu discovers that Nobuna's action was a diversion tactic, as Yoshiharu, Hand, Jubei, Gomen, Inucho, and small force have set up a fort at Sanamata overnight. They barely manage to withstand Yoshitatsu's siege until Nobuna's forces relieve them. Nagamasa and his army try to interfere, but Nobuna's forces under Nagahide ambush him. Yoshitatsu is captured and Mino is taken. Nobuna spares Yoshitatsu's life, but unlike Nobisumi, he swears vengeance. Nagamasa returns begging Nobuna to marry him. After promising an alliance, Nobuna permits her sister Oichi to be Nagamasa's bride. Except Oichi is Nobisumi dress up as a girl. Nobuna is sure that the disguise will not collapse by nightfall. Nobuna then starts her historic conquest of Kyoto, intending to install Yoshimoto as a figurehead shogun. Yoshiharu, Hambi, Gomen, and Anucho are sent to scout the city ahead of time. The city is in the state of chaos. Most buildings are damaged or razed, and crime and disease are widespread. The palace is in control of the Miyoshi III, Sakihisa Kano, Saki Utsuda, and Gosai Shakakuin. Yoshiharu's entourage chances upon bandits who have kidnapped the Empress, Himiko, and rescues her. They also help protect Portuguese missionary Louis Frois and her bodyguard Bontenmaru from more bandits. During a tour of the city, Yoshiharu and Anucho are stunned by a magic spell of Hisahide Danjo Matsunaga, who demands Himiko return to the palace. Himiko promises to comply in exchange for the lives of Yoshiharu and Anucho being spared. Nobuna's army finally arrives, bringing order to Kyoto. Kano demands 120,000 kan for the imperial court to recognize Yoshimoto as the new shogun. As such, Nobuna and Yoshiharu travel to the neutral merchant city of Sakai to ask its trade union to contribute to their cause. However, Saki Utsuda convinces other union member to contribute only under one condition. Yoshiharu and Jubei must compete in a cooking competition. The winner takes the 120,000 kan. Nobuna achieves what she is after anyway, but Saki Utsuda and the union leader, Saki Uemai, respectively bet on Jubei and Yoshiharu, the stake being Imai's monopoly on the city's takoyaki stands. Imai and Nobuna both expect Tsuda to bribe other merchants and rig the competition in favor of Jubei. Indeed, Jubei is announced winner even though the judges are impressed with Yoshiharu, who uses mayonnaise on his takoyaki but finds Jubei's horrible as she cooked it too quickly. Imai feels the event went better than what he hoped as he has the better recipe. Jubei, however, who had taken the competition more seriously than she should, demonstrates too much arrogance and is surprised to see Nobuna's cold, disgusted reaction. The Miyoshi III orchestrate an elaborate plan against Nobuna and Yoshimoto. First, their counterintelligence compels Nobuna to send out her army to deal with a non-existent threat, despite Yoshiharu's foreknowledge of its falseness. Then, a sniper kidnaps Yoshiharu to lure Nobuna into his crosshair and assassinate her. Meanwhile, Miyoshi troops attack Kyoto. Their leader, Danjo, teleports into Kiyomizu Temple and attacks Jubei. Despite being a swordsmaster, Jubei is no match for Danjo's magic. However, Yoshiharu's smartphone foils the sniper and Jubei manages to hold her ground until military relief arrives. Yoshiharu shields Jubei, Nobuna pins Danjo down. Hanbei counteracts her magic, and an angry Bontenmaru blasts away her recently arrived escort, while troops under Kurishiden lords and Louis rout the Miyoshi invaders. Fully defeated, and impressed with the persecuted Japanese sharing Nobuna's vision, Danjo defects. Later, Nobuna meets Himiko, a psychic who had read Yoshiharu's mind earlier when he took her hand. She knows about his time displacement, his loyalty, and also his soft spot for women. Nobisumi discovers Nagamasa is a woman. She had to hide her gender to become a ruler. She suspects that Nobuna knew this. Meanwhile, Yoshiharu is relieved when Nobuna departs to conquer Wakasa, which would scare the troublesome Asakura without forcing Asai to choose between loyalty to Oda or Asakura. He explains that Nobunaga made the mistake of attacking Asakura instead, and Asai betrayed him, bringing about the frightening events of the 1570 siege of Kangasaki. Han, however, reveals that this might be exactly what's happening as she sensed Nobuna lying to Yoshiharu. As Yoshiharu sets out to confirm that and warn Nobuna, sandwiched between two clans, Nobuna realizes that one of her retainers must sacrifice a rear guard to facilitate her retreat through the Kutsuki Valley. Against Nobuna's wishes, Yoshiharu, Hanzo, Goemon's men and 500 soldiers form that rear guard and successfully rout the enemy advance guard. But as Nobuna rides to retreat, she is shot by the sniper. The bullet strikes Yoshiharu's smartphone, only stunning Nobuna. Yoshiharu's rear guard, however, is decimated. To deny the enemy Yoshiharu's head, Hanzo detonates a bomb on him. As such, when Danjo brings Nobuna out of coma, she is told that Yoshiharu and Jubei are pulverized. To keep her alive, Danjo gives her a motive: revenge. Nobuna's reckless charge starts a full-scale invasion of Mount Hiei from several directions with participation from all her allies. Kano has explosives detonated to set Mount Hiei on fire, something he wants the public to see as Oda's military sacrilege. But his plan backfires, as the sacrilege shatters the Miyoshi III alliance, leaving nothing between Nobuna and Kano except an abortive Yoshitatsu. Tsuda and Shakakyuin join force with Imai and Louis, and provide Hand with funds and support for a magic ritual. With Kano dead, Nobuna has a romantic reunion with Yoshiharu, whom the bomb had never harmed. Jubei, also alive. Finally, Hand invokes a heavy rain on Mount Hiei, extinguishing the fire. Nobuna and her forces are welcomed by joyous citizens. This is the end of my video, so please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.